webinar is about FilterPAQ. One of the things that we're going to talk about after just a brief introduction is some of the progress on FilterPAQ quote 2.0 type stuff, where we are with integrating a specific project. I'm looking at you, Wisconsin, and what the rollout plan can be for some of these additional features, and when you can look forward to installing particular levels of this. So right now, FilterPAQ is of course generally designed to integrate laboratory data with sampling data, field sample data, into a single data set that can then be put into InVista for data validation and review as if it were a normal, typical channel. So the goal of FilterPAQ was initially and still is primarily to take the laboratory data set and match it by filter ID or field ID with the field data set and integrate them together. Some things that facilitate this are like CommCenter and InVista ARM in that product, where CommCenter can talk to remote devices, collect the field data from them so the operators don't necessarily have to download that. And then the filter ID is a part of that, providing it was entered correctly. And that gets matched with a laboratory data input so that the full data set is apparent for filters. FilterPAQ has branched into some other territory over the past several years. Now it has some more reports and displays. It has support for high volume TSP sample sets, similar to the way that filters are processed. One of the things that we're working very hard on with this 2.0 is we're working with a state to get some laboratory data in that's in a more complex format than the standard just filter wayroom data. So this laboratory data set has a few tables that can be leveraged in the future by FilterPAQ to do more laboratory integration. So one of the ideas is that we have these larger back-end tables now that we can leverage if future development for water quality or other types of data flows that are similar to FilterPAQ are becoming available. The side effect of this is that one of the importing features that will be added for the general filter public, the general FilterPAQ user group, is the import of like RTI records through FilterPAQ so that it can go through some level of validation similar to what we're doing for the other data sets that are coming from this state's lab. So we're working through finalizing some of that, so that will be something that will be, once it's finalized in their specific system, we'll add the integration tools for everybody to be able to use those types of forms and displays in FilterPAQ, and we'll make that available. Another thing that FilterPAQ is moving towards are some more dynamic types of reports and some more informational displays. The FilterPAQ details display has been it hasn't been like totally re-envisioned, but it's been moved around quite a bit so that it can facilitate the display of some additional data and some data validation process that's been brought to our attention as being very important to the filter community. So we'll show that today, actually. I also want to show a calendar, the beginning of a calendar portion of the application as well as part of the 2.0 discussion. And then we can talk about when certain parts of this will be available to you for download and install, and then what else might be coming and when I envision more updates to come forward. I think somebody was going to ask a question. Oh, maybe not. Okay. So this is still FilterPAQ. I'm still using the database that I've been using for a while. So you'll see the Michigan state filters. It's a very complete database. It has a lot of data in the 2011-2012 time range, so that's one of the things I'm going to show. I'm not going to, I guess I will log in. I'll log in and we'll pick a quarter, 2011. We'll select filters, and what we're going to see here, as many of you recognize, is a list of the filters for that quarter for this Allen Park station. And I'm just going to look at one of them to talk about the new filter details form. A lot of work has gone into this to actually make it a bit more informational. The blue color of the screen, just so you know, is my desktop. I had to change it to something other than every remote computer I was connecting into so that I could tell the difference. So it will have mostly your screen colors. But the display has changed so that more data can be made present. So like now there's a min-max flow that are available. The temperature, pressure, relative humidity, and filter temperature have been reconfigured so that more of them can be shown. So there's a minimum, average, maximum available. And then just hovering over will remind you what each of these abbreviations mean. It used to be that only the temperature, ambient temperature, and pressure were available. So we've taken the same space and doubled the amount of data that's available. The lab conditions has not changed. The concentration has been reformatted so it's all in one place, and then there's a co-location section as well. And the near sites has been left the same. The biggest changes are here in the top and here in the validity section. In the top part, we have a new section that has re-envisioned the way that the dates are displayed, called the filter lifespan. And this starts with the tare wait date, runs through the actual start date, the actual stop date, the recovery date, and the final date. And the idea here is that it will calculate the time in between each of these and highlight to you where there might be a problem. Obviously, this data is not complete. It doesn't have an accurate recovery date, nor does it have an accurate final date based on what came in from the lab. So there's a couple flaws with the data set that we're looking at here. But those are good for showing you what has happened with the interface. So from the tare wait to the start date, there's a requirement that that's done in 30 days. So we have the 25 days calculated here, and if it goes above 30 days, it would be a pink color. The start date to the stop date has been turned into hours. I'm actually using this field here, and we'll turn both this and this pink if it falls outside of your range that you've selected. Typically, I think it was 1350 or something like that, 1375, I forget the exact numbers for minutes outside of spec. The actual stop date to the recovery date, you'll see this is a box here, and the recovery date was a little later. So we have some time there. And then the way dates difference are significant because we have 1900 here. Let's look for a better set of data. So here we have the stop date to the final date being 8 days. So this was weighed within 8 days. And the 30 days that's indicated here is based on the average and maximum transit temperatures for the filters. If you are able to load that information, this can be calculated and indicate to you how many days you have to weigh it, so that if this exceeds the number of calculated days for weighing, you can have a pink box to tell you that you have weighed it too late. Okay. So this is just some examples of the display, of the new filter details display, the filter lifespan. There is something else here that's new. The view alerts used to be up in the top upper corner, but it's moved down here. It still turns pink if there's any alerts on the screen. Below that are two new buttons, full instrument record and full filter record. So as I've discussed, the full instrument record would be the field data. The full filter record, I'm going to change the name of this to full lab data, will be the laboratory data. And this just lets you see all of the fields in case there's some data that's not displayed here that you're interested in reviewing. So if I click full instrument record, you can see that I have a list of every parameter in the database for this instrument record, and it allows you to see every part of that, even what's not displayed on this screen. The full filter record will give you a perspective of where we're going to go with this. You can see that there's a section here that's expandable and that you can contract called the lab final weight data. So this will be a section where all of the information about the final weight and acquiring that will be placed. When you click on final weight here, you do get a description of what that point of data means. So you'll have this list of all of the data that's available from the lab in terms of the filter records, and you'll be able to see what the information holds. So that's one big change. It's been quite a bit of effort to make this as readable as possible. There's some difficulties with the way that it had to be designed, but anybody who wants to review this and offer some suggestions is obviously welcome to after they got it installed and have worked with it for a little bit. Another thing that I do want to show, kind of another bigger thing that's happened, is this sample calendar. This is going to have a couple improvements to it before the release that we'll talk about in a moment. But I just want to show that it is an active calendar where you can browse by month. There were a couple there, but I want to get to a good section. So here you can see that the filters are displayed, and you can see where a blank versus a sample might appear. So if we click on one of these, we'll get that filter details form related to that sample. We can go back further. Allen Park is actually a everyday sampler. So when we go back to the real data, you can see that when there is a blank and a sample on the same day, they show up together. And just clicking on one will bring up the form for it. Features that are going to be added to this, if the sample is run on a day that is a sample, like an actual sample day, it won't be colored, it'll just be normal. But if there is a missing day, like the 20th here, I will put in a new box and it will be shaded in the sampling color that's necessary according to the EPA calendar. And when you click on that box, you'll be able to put in a dummy record for the EPA for that day. It'll allow you to fill in that gap. And then the other types of features that I was looking at adding would be just some more interaction, maybe being able to select a narrower time frame so that you could see fewer days at a time, and the possibility of printing this calendar. Do you have any questions about the calendar or the new details form?
I like it, Nate.
Okay, cool. Somebody likes it. That's awesome. Now, there was a large document that many, if not all of you, received quite a while ago. In August, it looks like 2014 was the first draft of it. I think I sent it out again early this year. It goes over several other items that are being added to the FilterPAQ 2.0, including some more detailed reports for certain requests. There's a few other items in here. If you would like for me to send this out again, I will probably do that within a week, because I want to note where we are with each of these and what should be done. So that will actually include a documented potential release schedule for each of these. The potential being, if I get distracted or sucked into something, it might be extended a little bit. The 2.0 first edition that has these big features and a couple other small ones that will be documented will be officially published on the FTP site for everybody to download next Wednesday. And then I will try to commit to a monthly update until the entire document is accommodated and any bugs that you might find in the process. So there'll probably be 3 or 4 months of monthly updates from there on out to continue to improve on the FilterPAQ 2.0 concepts. And that's the general summary of the product, where it is now and where it's going.